Hey guys, what's up, it's iFlynn here, and today we're going to be learning everything you need to know about Frost in Warframe. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Everything You Need to Know About guide. In today's video, we're going to be covering one of the most commonly used defense frames in the game, known as Frost. Before we jump into learning everything we need to know about Frost, it's important to keep in mind that everything that I say in this video can become outdated, as Warframe is a game that's still in beta. Down in the description below, there should be links to any video that I've made to update the information in this one, should this video ever become out of date, as well as links to the Warframe wiki, which should have up-to-date information on it. While you're down there in the description, feel free to check out the links to all of my social media pages to stay up to date whenever I post something online. There's also a link to a monthly 1000 Platinum giveaway that you can get 4 entries into by simply subscribing to me here on YouTube, following me on Twitch, and then following me and the @PlayWarframe account on Twitter. The winners of this giveaway will be announced at the end of the month and will be contacted via email. As mentioned beforehand, Frost is one of the best or most used defensive frames in the game. Any mission that requires you to protect a target, Frost will shine in, as he has a strong mixture of defensive and crowd controlling abilities. Frost stats at max rank are as follows. He has 300 health, 450 shields, 300 armor, 150 energy, a 0.95 sprint speed, a dash and a D polarity in his main modding section, and a D in his aura. Frost does have a prime version of himself that is currently vaulted, along with the Latron Prime and the Reaper Prime. At max rank, Frost Prime has 300 health, 525 shields, 300 armor, 150 energy, a 0.95 sprint speed, a dash, and 2 D polarities in his modding section, as well as a D in the aura. To obtain regular Frost, you must kill the bosses known as Lieutenant Lich Krill and Captain Vor on Exta series. His neuroptics and chassis both share a 38.72% drop chance, while his systems have a 22.56% chance to drop. To craft regular Frost, you're going to need a total of 95,000 credits. This is including the blueprint costs, 1,000 ferrite, 800 rubido, 500 salvage, 500 plastids, 150 alloy plates, 150 polymer bundles, 1 morphic, 1 control module, 1 neural sensor, and finally 1 working cell. At the time of writing the script, Frost Prime has currently been unvaulted from the Prime Vault until the 6th of April 2018. The relics that drop Frost Prime parts can be found in the Plains of Eidolon bounties. His blueprint can be obtained from a Meso F3 or Neo F1 relic as a rare drop. His neuroptics can be dropped from a Neo E1 relic as a common drop. His chassis can be dropped from a Meso E1 relic as a common drop, and his systems can be dropped from a Liv G2 relic as an uncommon drop. To craft Frost Prime, you'll need a total of 70,000 credits, 1,000 ferrite, 800 rubido, 500 salvage, 220 plastids, 150 alloy plates, 150 polymer bundles, 1 control module, 1 morphic, 1 neural sensor, and finally 1 working cell. Frost Prime's passive is known as Cryogenic. Any melee attacker that strikes Frost has a 10% chance to be temporarily frozen on impact. Frost's first ability is known as Freeze. This ability will allow Frost to launch an icy projectile that inflicts 350 cold damage on impact and 150 cold damage with 100% status chance in a small area. Enemies that are directly hit by the projectile will be frozen for a duration of 15 seconds. If the projectile impacts a surface, a patch of ice will be created in that area lasting 12 seconds and slows enemies that enter into the area of effect. The damage that this ability deals is affected by ability strength mods and body part multipliers. Freeze duration is affected by ability duration mods. Freeze has an augment for it known as Freeze Force. This augment and all of Frost's other augments can be obtained from the Steel Meridian Syndicate at the rank of General or the Cephalon Suda Syndicate at the rank of Genius for 25,000 Syndicate standing. Freeze Force is an augment for Freeze that will allow the ability to be cast on allies, granting them additional cold damage. At base, the mob will give 100% extra cold damage for a duration of 40 seconds. The damage buff is affected by power strength mods, and the buff duration is affected by power duration mods. Frost's second ability is known as Ice Wave. This ability will allow Frost to launch a large wave of ice shards that will inflict 700 cold damage with 100% status chance to all targets in its area of effect. The wave has an initial width of 3 meters that will disperse at a 45-degree angle over a distance of 20 meters. The damage that this ability deals is affected by power strength mods. The angle, width, and length are all affected by power range mods, however the angle that the wave disperses at can't exceed 60 degrees under any circumstances. Ice Wave has an augment for it known as Ice Wave Impedance that will leave a frozen trail behind it for 12 seconds, slowing down any enemies that come into contact with it. The amount of time that the Frost trail lays for is affected by power duration mods, but how much the enemies are slowed by is not affected by power strength mods. Frost's third ability, and probably most used ability, is known as Snow Globe. This ability allows Frost to create a large snow globe with a diameter of 10 meters around where he's standing. The snow globe will block all incoming damage and has 5,000 base health and additional health that is equal to 500% of Frost's base armor. Upon casting, the globe will be invulnerable for 4 seconds, absorbing damage and converting absorbed damage into health for the globe. Base health and armor multipliers are affected by power strength mods, and the range of the globe is affected by power range mods. If you cast snow globe while enemies are near you, they will be frozen and flung outside of the globe. Players can shoot out of the globe, but neither friendly or foe can shoot into the globe. Casting freeze in a globe from the outside will cause it to explode, dealing 150 ice damage to any enemy close to it. You can have up to 4 active globes at a time. Casting a 5th snow globe will cause your oldest globe to disappear. You can replenish the health of an already existing globe by recasting a snow globe inside of an already existing one. Snow Globe has an augment for it known as Chilling Globe that has a 50% chance to freeze enemies that walk inside Frost Snow Globe for a total of 8 seconds. Freeze chance is not affected by power strength, but the amount of time that enemies stay frozen for is affected by power duration mods. Frost final ability is known as Avalanche. Frost will summon an avalanche that will freeze enemies over a duration of 8 seconds within a radius of 15 meters. Frozen enemies will have their armor reduced by 40% off their current armor for the duration of the freeze. Armor reduction is affected by power strength mods, freeze duration is affected by power duration mods, and the freeze radius is affected by power range mods. Once the avalanche passes, all enemies caught in the blast will have 1,500 cold damage dealt to them. Frozen enemies will shatter upon death, inflicting 400 cold damage with a 100% status chance within 4.5 meters. Avalanche has an augment for it known as Icy Avalanche that will grant allies within the radius and Frost a protective coat of ice that will absorb incoming damage, grant knockdown immunity, and protects against status effects. The health of the ice coating depends on the number of enemies hit by Avalanche upon casting, and the coating lasts until depleted by enemy fire. Your ice coating health is also affected by power strength mods. Alright, so moving on to Frost's builds, we're going to be showing you 3 builds. One is his Snow Globe build, the second is an Avalanche build, and then the third is a Chilling Globe build. You can choose to use whichever you want, and you can also modify them to suit your own playstyle. I'm just going to show you guys the mods, explain why I have those certain mods on and what abilities they benefit, and sort of why what the positives are to having said mods on because of said effect on said ability or whatever, and then basically that's it. So the first build is our Snow Globe build. So this one is all about putting our Snow Globe up, making sure it has a lot of health, and then also keeping the Snow Globe up, so that being able to recast other Snow Globes inside our original Snow Globe. So this is the build that you're going to use if you are playing like a defense mission or a mobile defense mission or something that requires you to defend a target. So on here, we actually have, let's go ahead and remove Freeze Force right now because Freeze Force is just optional. So with this build, the basis of it is I have Vitality and Steel Fiber on here, so we're getting more health on our globe. Combine that with Transient Fortitude and Pyro Drift. We have Streamline for efficiency, so then we can cast our globes very often. We have Stretch on here for the range of our globes, and then we have an extra mod slot here. So there is a multitude of things you could do here. So you could throw on Intensify, so your globe has more base health, combining that with Transient Fortitude, Vitality, and Steel Fiber. You could throw on a 1 from the top Fleeing Expertise, as well as a 1 from the top Streamline, so that way you're able to spam your snow globes, which is the one that I recommend, because then that way you're able to stack that health in your original globe more efficiently. You could throw on a augment like I had on beforehand, so I had my Freeze Force augment on there so I could buff up my teammates. You could throw on Chilling Globe. There's just a multitude of different things you can throw onto this final mod slot here. Now, I have Prime Continuity on here to increase the duration of the freeze and slow down effects of all of my abilities. So let's say I use Avalanche to freeze the enemies, then because I have Prime Continuity on here, it's going to make it that those guys stay frozen for longer, and it's also to combat the negative to duration that I get from my Transient Fortitude. Prime Flow for my health, obviously, and then the aura mod, you can run pretty much whatever you like, but I like having my dash auras on here because it's just what I usually run, right? So if I'm running in a group of 4 people who all have Cruiser Projection on, and I'm able to throw on Cruiser Projection and weave that into my build, and I have more mob points because I have a dash polarity on, then it just makes more sense, and it benefits everybody in the team because the enemies have no armor, and I also have more mob points, so it makes a lot of sense. So moving on to config B, this is my Avalanche build, and basically this is about crowd controlling as many enemies with a single cast of Avalanche and keeping them crowd controlled. So we have Overextended, Stretch, and Cunning Drift on here to increase the range of our initial cast. We have Intensify on here just to buff up our abilities a little bit, so make it so that our globe isn't completely useless. Constitution and Prime Continuity to make it so that the enemies stay crowd controlled for a long time. Streamline so we can cast it more often. Prime Flow obviously for our what's it called, our energy, vitality for our health, and then again aura is kind of down to you. So you can do a few things with this if you want to. You could take off intensify, you could throw on something like augur reach, or you could throw on augur message to increase the duration. So augur reach is going to increase your range, augur message is going to increase the duration, and then that is pretty much this build. So config C is kind of a weird build. This is a build that I would be using in something like an interception if I was playing with lackluster teammates, or if I was playing on my own. So the thought process behind this build is to have a massive globe, so overextend it, stretch cutting drift to increase the range, and then we have our intensify to make it not useless, streamline for the casting, prime continuity, and then prime flow. So prime continuity obviously to increase the duration that the enemy stay frozen for, prime flow for energy, vitality for health, and then chilling globe on here to actually have a 50% chance to freeze the enemies. Now you use this on interception because you could place a globe on every single point. It's basically the exact same build as what I showed in config B, except you have chilling globe on there instead of constitution, so just makes more sense. Like I mentioned beforehand, you could swap off intensify for augur message or augur reach. It's just kind of done to you what you want to run at that point. So intensify is just on there, so again my globe isn't useless. So that's basically it. With config A, your globe is going to have a buttload of health. If we go ahead and take a look, so we have 11,000 health. It covers a 7.25 radius, which means whenever a bombard shoots you, you're not going to like die because the bombard hit the globe and it somehow clipped inside the globe. I think they actually fixed that, but that used to be a bug where like if a bombard rocket hit your globe, it could still kind of damage you. But now that you have obviously a bigger range, a bigger globe, a globe that's very beefy, then you can take a lot of damage, recast it, and then your globe stays alive, and then all of your other abilities have positive effects as well. So it's a very good all-around build, which is kind of catered towards snow globe. And then with our second build, if we move on to that, if we go ahead and take a look here, we see that we're catering more towards range. So we're going to have, a duration of 14 seconds on our avalanche. We have very low armor reduction on it, but because we have a massive range, we have a 37.5 meter range, which is awesome. And then that obviously translates into more range for all of our other abilities. And then same goes for the fourth build. It's basically the exact same stats as the second build there. So with config A, what I usually like to do is a 1 from the top streamline, if I can find it, plus a 1 from the top fleeting expertise. So streamline 1 from the top, and then that way you have more not mod capacity, but more energy when you start off. Plus you also have that extra 10% duration that you wouldn't have if you were running a maxed out fleeing expertise, and that allows you to basically recast your globe and get all of that health back. So if we were to go ahead and cast the globe in the middle, hopefully take a little bit of damage if they would like to shoot. Come on. So you can see that our globe health goes down as the enemy shoot at it. We can just recast and get all that globe health back. And then there we go. And then with our avalanche build, we go ahead, pick it up, go to upgrade, config B, and we roll towards the enemies. Press 4 if I had enough health. Over here, press this, and then all the enemies are frozen, and it's pretty awesome. So that is pretty much Frost in a nutshell. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button below. Check out the links in the description below, and I'll see you guys for another Everything You Need to Know About video uploaded tomorrow at 6 p.m. GMT, hopefully. If it's not an Everything You Need to Know About video, then it's going to be some other video, but it will be up at 6 p.m. GMT. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, subscribe for more Warframe content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.